Not even thunderstorms, tornadoes, straight line winds, or household problems would stop us from having this victory live stream. Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. I am joined by, of course, my favorite co hosts, Sean and Gavin. Sean, you still on the emotional roller coaster from the game yesterday?
Nah, that game sucked. I'm good.
Oh, okay. Just like a couple years before. Both defenses sucked. It was a shootout.
What am I, a wuss? I don't cry over football games or wins or...
Exactly. We just took care of business, right?
No, I've been on an emotional roller coaster for various reasons for the past 48 hours. Like, I watched an emotional season finale to a show I was kind of casually into, but then got really good at the end. And it's like, oh, I am invested in these characters. And oh my God, that happened at a Disney show. I did not see that coming. And then the football game happened. And so, yeah, I've been up in my feelings for a little bit now. So... yeah,
I've been up in my feelings too from about like a 22-hour day yesterday. Gavin, how are you feeling?
Can I probably say, like, I went from where I wanted to crawl into a hole to where now I feel like I'm on top of a mountain? Would that describe how I feel at this moment?
That sounds about right.
It's like you ever climb on one of those you ever go to like you ever had like the kids playground at your school or your neighborhood, and they have, I don't know what you call it, but it's like one of those octagon like jungle gym type things that's like a sphere, but it's all like you climb on top of it. I don't know what those are called, but you climb on top of one of those things as a kid. You feel like I'm on top of the world, and you're only up, you're like 10 feet in the air at most.
Hey, I will take that still. I mean, when you're a kid, I understand. I remember that. It's like the spider web or whatever.
Yeah,
man. King of the hill, man. King of the hill.
You just like dangle on the top, your feet dangle, and it's like you use it as like a prison if you're playing one of your weird games as a kid. It's like, get in the prison, but I don't want to be in the prison. You're in the prison. It's like you found out who the pecking order is in the playground hierarchy.
That or whenever you get like the giant piles of gravel. And you all climb up and you just get pushed off. Whoever's the biggest kid will sit on the top of that pile.
Only if construction was going on. It all depended on when that was happening. But okay, exactly. So this is your show. So where do you want to begin?
I was going to ask y'all that. Where do you guys want to begin? Because I could begin with like, I don't know where to begin. That's the problem.
You were effing there. Like I was on a Twitch stream that I was like, or at least one or two people I wanted to strangle because they wouldn't shut up. I can say that here because it's on my channel. Because they won't track it. All due respect, they're not going to track it back here. We do have a handful of people that have asked me about being on here, so you are starting to get noticed a little bit. Good for you.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
Congratulations.
Cool.
So
thank you.
I am. I think my day started like. I don't want to make it all about the Twitch stream, but they wanted me on at 11 Eastern, 11 Eastern, because they want to do all the tech checks and everything, make sure everything was good. And so I was just trying to keep an eye on game day, and game day was fantastic for various reasons, because I don't know if you saw, did you get to go to game day at all? Were you there, or did you just go straight to your seat or try to get in?
Kind of. I'll bounce it back forth between both of y'all. Kind of my day. So my day started at like 2:45 in the morning because again, this was a complete round trip.
Because you're a psycho and no one should ever do what you did, but you did it anyway, and you have no regrets, obviously. But
I have absolutely no regrets from that game. But it started about 2:45 because it takes me about 30 minutes to wake up and get going. So I was up ready to go. I did my pre-record because I was waiting for that last bit of information if anything was going to happen with the game. For that point, did my pre-record. Kayla swung by and picked me up about 4:15 in the morning, and we just drove straight down there. There was no real Denton traffic at all. Like I
would hope not.
For once, there was not.
Considering it's a Saturday at like dark 30, I would hope not. But yes. My point with game day is that unless you were Texas fans at game day, and Herb Street pointed out, and they put the cameras on them, Texas fans started a "We Want Caleb" chant.
They did. They did. So let me get to that. So
the famous last words.
oh, karma and the monkey paw. Hindsight's 2020. But so we drove down there, right? So it was a good drive. Okay, it was. Kayla wanted to drive, and I said, "Okay, are you sure?" I'm more than happy to. She loves to drive. I said, "Good luck." I conked out about 10 minutes in, but I knew when we reached Texas, when there was the jerk of the turn, I was like, "Oh, I'm awake." We're still an hour out. So we didn't actually encounter any traffic from the game until about maybe 3 miles out, and that took
it really is only like
an
an hour once you hit the Red River, right? It's like an hour to get to Dallas.
It's only about an hour. Yeah. So once we got there, it was $20 parking or $40 premium. We went premium because we're not gonna deal 2 miles out. Not happening. So we did that. We were able to walk into the fair, and we were able to just kind of bebop around the fair. We found game day, and it was reasonably crowded. There was we want Caleb chance.
They in the past, like when I was there for 09, they like this year they set up right in front of the main entrance of the Cotton Bowl. Like I remember back in 09, it was a different area. It wasn't right in front of the Cotton Bowl from what I remember. So
you're correct. It was right. It's that perfect scene setter, but man, does it cause a lot of congestion. And I mean, props to College Game Day being right there because you had to go right there. But man, the traffic with the carnival and the food and everything, it was hard to maneuver around because if you tried to go around, they were already.
The game day, you don't say.
Let me
preach it to the choir.
I need to step aside to take care of the house stuff really fast. So, Gavin, Sean, if you want to take over really fast, I'll be right back.
Sure. So, Gavin, I finished watching Amphibia season 2, and it's fantastic. If you're not a fan, you should check it out.
Okay.
No, for real. That was like one of the most emotionally like crazy finales to a children's cartoon I've ever seen in my life. Watch it; it's really good. But anyway.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and I don't know if you have seen it. I'm assuming you've seen it and everything, but there was actually a video that circulated that all the team was celebrating, and then like Spencer rather was heading straight into the locker room. It looks like. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Here's my take on that. It doesn't matter to me because I know where this is going to go, and I'm not yelling at you or anything. I did a stream last night, and you had to talk about it, of course, because it was a big turning point in the game when he got taken out, and I try to remain positive. It's like, look, at the end of the day, he's still one of ours. You know, he's won some games for us. You know, he did this, did that, all that stuff. And of course, there's people that pop into the chat. They're just like miserable human beings. They just want to like crap on him some more. I just wasn't in the mood for it. It's like the guy's been through enough at this point. If you want to point to his Netflix show and it's like he was a jerk on the Netflix show, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna. He hasn't murdered, assaulted anyone. If he's just a little, I can totally believe that he's a little bit douchey. There's a lot of high school kids that I went through when I was in high school that were douchey too. Didn't make them awful human beings. It's just sometimes life is not fair, and whatever his future holds, whether he sticks it out, goes pro, transfers, I'm totally cool with that. So, but
yeah, but I think this is just the other point. And look, I'm probably not going to be well versed into it like that. But if you have like that sort of like somewhat of like, and if from the Netflix stuff and everything too, with like some of the character issues on that, and it's still transferred over into the college playing days and everything, I just really don't know how you can basically grow from that, you know, from more of a character standpoint now where you know,
but what are we
kind of looking at everybody else.
What are we talking about though? I mean, what exactly specifically are we identifying that? See, that's where you get to a slippery slope for me, and it would be easier if we had if he stayed in and lost the game. He would have taken more heat, and I'm not going to attack his character because we're not in that locker room. I mean, a lot of guys are saying the right things. Obviously, no one is publicly trashing him. Riley was like emotional after the game. He when bringing him up. So
okay. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, I mean, after that, yes. So, but it just, I'm just saying, I'm not like a big deal, but it does raise, just raise a little bit of flags. It's just kind of where I kind of get at.
No, I respectfully disagree. The problem with Rattler is that I think at the end of the day, the pressure was too much for him. And you combine that with the fact that this offense, especially with this offensive line right now, needs a guy who can be mobile, who's a threat with his legs. And all due respect to Spencer, he's not that much of a threat with his legs. Every guy Riley has been successful with to some extent. Even Baker's not the most athletic guy, but he was successful with his legs. Kyler Murray, good Lord, is he ever successful with his legs? Jalen Hurts. I mean, he that was his first choice sometimes. And it's just, I don't feel comfortable going down the road of attacking his character right now. I don't want to do that. And I'm not saying you can't have opinions or anything like that. It's just, that's how I feel about it. And at the end of the day, whatever happens the rest of the season, this is still just one game. And as much as Caleb is going to go down as a legend, he can go down to be one of the greatest OU QBs ever, or he could be Trevor Knight, one night only. So, there's a lot of football left to be played, and there's a lot to figure out still. I think the obvious road where we're going is Caleb's going to be QB1, because how could he not be at this point? I
mean, you got to stick with the hot hand, but it wasn't really like attacking his character that I was talking about. It's just kind of like somewhat, where he just, was just walking off. It just sort of
But we don't know the circumstances behind that. That's my problem with like assuming that stuff. He went to the locker room by himself or whatever. Who knows why he did?
And I will say, and thank y'all for holding for me. We're dealing with some piping.
We talked about Amphibia for like 10 minutes while you were gone, and like the great
awesome.
season.
So that's awesome. So that's the next show I need to add besides Owl House. So,
yeah,
Owl House first though.
Owl House first. Hey, I'm only 2 episodes off. I got to finish Centaur World. I caught the tail end of that. We'll get more into that because I do want to bring that up later in the live stream. But I can witness and say, yes, I saw Rattler walk into the tunnel by himself with what appeared to be a team, like an agent, maybe like a staff member, and he was not out there for the team picture. I don't know. There's rumors about. I don't know. I don't know.
Again, there's rumors. So
they're rumors, right? Right.
I don't feel like there's got to be a reason. Listen, if it turns out later at the end of the day that he walked off because he was bitter, XYZ, whatever it may be, okay, we'll find that out down the road. But is it the greatest look? Probably not. But it's just so hard for me to focus on that right now. I don't want to focus on
absolutely.
I can't focus on the negative. Like the guy he's lost his job. He's not going to get it back. It's like I feel like we're kicking someone when they're down at this point. And his worst crime was playing non-perfect OU quarterback football.
Yeah.
And we've never heard him being late to practice, being a crappy teammate. Like all this stuff is just speculation. It's like I'll point it to me. Like I like the most critical I've been of any quarterback at OU is Jalen Hurts because he drove me nuts with his turnovers. Like he drove me insane.
I mean, you and I were both at the Houston game. Yeah. We saw even flashes of that, but
that was like way. I mean, turning the ball over once in a game, you're in control. I was like, okay, I was like that. There was like that was like way down the road, and for other things where it just like kept, multiplying.
It kept snowballing.
But I never attacked his character, but like I understand from a body language, you're watching a guy. I understand why people are interpreting, because when I see Jalen having like no reaction to like when OU makes the comeback against Baylor, thanks to him in a lot of regards, but also they're in the hole thanks to him as well. But there are times where we win the game and he's just standing there and he's like not doing anything. He's stone faced. He's not celebrating.
He's very stoic. Yeah.
He's very stoic, and it drove me insane. Be happy, damn it! And he got happy later, but it was just like. That's like the Nick Saban stuff. He's been programmed by Saban to think or be a certain way, but it's just because
there's a lot to take away from it.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like focusing on Radler, like because like people popped up and might say, "Hey, what do you think of Radler doing this?" It's like, what? Like, why? Why are we doing this? We had one of the greatest moments in the history of this program yesterday.
I think,
and we want to focus on. Oh, Spencer Rattler, he can't hurt you anymore, guys. That's what I'm talking.
I think with the Rattler one, and we'll get more when we go into second quarter with it, because I want to go over everything. It's still an important component of the game, because you don't win that game with Rattler. I'll be honest, you do not win that game if Rattler's the starting quarterback.
Well, yeah, because he got pulled for a reason.
Yeah.
So he had you know what's funny? He literally had. It was a mirror of last year. He had a very similar moment where he's trying to move around the pocket and then he fumbles the ball and gives it up, and it's like it was literally like it was like a copy and paste of what happened last year. And the problem is the what's funny is that Riley puts in Mordecai, and if you would have done that, if you would have said that, saying that this year based on what Mordecai is doing at SMU, like.
Why wouldn't Mordecai be the starter?
Yeah, it's crazy when you stop and think about it. But he came back in, but this time, like, he couldn't put him back in, because I think when he saw Caleb get that 66-yarder on on 4th and 1 to just get the first down, and then he had green grass in front of him, it's like, oh, there's a spark, and then. It's just night and day with the offense now, and
absolutely,
and when you look at, and the We Want Caleb crowd is validated, and I hate that I hate that it's going to appear that, like, quote unquote Riley gave in to fan pressure or alumni pressure. I hate that crap, but. He had to make the call there, because Riley knew if they lost that game,
it's done.
Or even if they had gotten blown out, it's like he knew the heat was coming. He had to, like, as a head coach responsible for that football program, based on where they wanted to go, they can't afford to lose a football game this year. I said it before the season started. Even before we saw the problems that we saw over the past 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I said to myself, guys, as much as I love OU, I know things are crazy now based on other events of yesterday, but we can't afford to lose a football game, because we will be easily kicked out of the club very easily. Like everyone wanted to throw Ohio State to the curb. But the good news for Ohio State is, I mean, you could say they have a tough schedule in the Big Ten East, but if you're Ohio State, I look at that as opportunities. You win all those games. You got to take
advantage.
You win all those games and you beat undefeated Iowa, you're in. You're not getting kicked out. What about Oregon? No, they're in. Like, you don't go through that schedule with one loss in September and keep them out. If change Ohio State to Oklahoma with that schedule, I'd be barking the same exact thing. But like, OU has to run the table if they want to make the playoff.
Oh, absolutely, Sean.
Which I feel like they can do that now.
Oh, absolutely. Sean, you mentioned, by the way, where if I saw game day, I'll show it to you really fast. That's how close I got to game day from it.
That looks familiar. Close. That looks familiar. I've seen that before.
Just the standard type of stuff with it and everything like that. So, like, the answer, though, more of your question on that, it wasn't like they were in a bad spot with it, but they were kind of. It was the perfect backdrop, but it caused some congestion issues. But regardless, we got there at about 8:30. So we had a good hour to just hang out, bebop around and everything. I'm very disappointed to let you know they did not have Belgian waffles open by the time that we got there. The only thing that was open was like the outside like cart stuff. A lot of the other stuff was not ready to go. The buildings wouldn't open until about 9:15 when we were heading into the stadium at that point, because we did not want to deal with those crowds and dealing with the game day crowd dispersing and everything like that.
See, that's the damn problem, Josh. You didn't get the Belgian waffle, and that's why we were down 21 points at the end of the first quarter. You got to get the Belgian waffle. You got to get the fan fuel to get rid. I'm kidding, of course. But.
I got the fan fuel. I got the funnel cake. I got the fan fuel, Sean.
Okay,
I did the best I could.
You got
close enough.
You got funnel cake, I guess, at least.
I got funnel cake, regardless though. But we went in about 9:15 because we circled around the Cotton Bowl, and there was no entrances. Everything was blocked off where the teams hadn't made it in yet at that point for it. I guess for whatever it was for like the bands and the fanfare. So we walked in. We didn't want to deal with stuff because we were on the ramps. So by the time we walked in was when the band started playing, and we were able to go on I want to say it was the east side of the stadium, and just watch them march through. I did a live thing for both Texas and OU as they were marching through. It was a good little time. So
did the band play their racist song? That should
be
banned?
They did. They made it very, very proud that they were playing that song. So they absolutely did. And they played it for their fanfare.
I'm horribly offended.
I am too. So now here's the thing. So once we made it in, as everyone said, like, I guess we didn't know if the rules was still you could walk out of the Cotton Bowl. It made it sound like, no, you had to stay in to get concessions and everything like that. Everything was the same. There was no like Fletcher's corn dogs or like a stadium thing. It was pretty much chips, water, the standard stuff. It was very, very consistent with it. So we made it.
You're talking about inside the stadium concession.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I think there were some people who thought that the concessions were going to be something different, but no. So when we made it inside the stadium, I'll show this up. This was where my seat was. I was again. Sean's aware of it. I was in section 102, row 32. The area behind me literally was one row, and then it was the wall. That was my view of the entire field. We saw roughly everything.
Yeah, if you're going to be up high, be as close to the sideline as possible. Or if you're in a corner, like the death spots are like corner end zone.
Yep. Yeah,
low corner end zone. It's like, because those are the seats my dad got in 04, and it's like I couldn't tell if Adrian Peterson got 2 yards or 20 sometimes.
that was me, and I'll mention that with it. But there were some plays where we just did not see anything because it was by the sideline, but it was our end zone. That's what mattered. All the good stuff happened in our end zone for it. So we waited, and game kicks off. They do all the fanfare. They changed a little bit of it because it used to be if you were the home team, they would do the entire opening for the home team, and then the visiting team would get like a little bit of the fanfare. And it seems like they split that now, where both OU and Texas both get their openings for the pregame and stuff before you go into kickoff.
Do you think that might have been part of because of the pandemic last year, where there wasn't all that fanfare?
Maybe it could be also a change in policy for it. Either or on it. They allowed both of them. They both got about 20 minutes to get everything through it. But OU did the national anthem and stuff as well. I guess since Texas
that was
had
Texas.
OU did they played it, but OU did the full national anthem stuff.
It's weird because I'm not kidding you, because when I saw game day, it showed that Texas actually did the national anthem.
If I recall, it was OU. It was Brian Bitt and the Pride. So it may have been the same call. It may have been just a mixed call and stuff too with it. I remember it being the Pride, but there was a simple flyover, everything like that. The funniest highlight, and I think I have a picture of it. We thought this was a sign of the times with Texas because, so when OU goes out, they have their OU the giant Oklahoma flag, and everybody's raising it, like flopping it around, trying to get all the stuff. Texas not only dragged theirs out on the ground, they unveiled it upside down. It wasn't even in the right way. We're like, good job, Texas. Good job.
When you say upside down, meaning it was like
the white stripe is supposed to be on top. It was on the bottom.
Okay, so it was like it was literally flipped as opposed to like I was assuming you meant like a hard camera for like the press box or whatever. So
the star being on like the right side and everything. Yeah, we were all cracking jokes, and they couldn't unfurl that thing if their life depended on it. They just had too few people. I'm like, take some of the band people, guys. It's not hard. It's a giant flag. But once we were surprised that Texas deferred to OU for the coin toss. I'll say that. We thought they were going to surely take it. So
I thought they
stadium fills up.
Didn't they elect to receive? Yeah.
Yeah, they elected to receive. They gave us the ball in the second half, which what we wanted anyway. So game starts. Gosh, that game start. I'll back up. So first off, though, everything was fine in the stands. We did have some Texas fans kind of interspace on the OU side, which is to be expected. But we had this like one bunch of family that they didn't want to sit in their seats. Their seat was like, I guess, not a fun seat. It was in the middle of the row. It was not in the shade, and they kept bouncing around, and people had to literally tell them, "We get it, but you're in our seat. You need to go to your seat. This is not people don't show up."
What do you mean? Like they were? It wasn't like a hey, you're standing up too much. They were just moving around different seats that were open.
Yeah,
or what?
Yeah. So there's about 5 rows in front of us, and what we think is they had the middle row, but they're like it's too hot, so they moved back to the wall. They're like, well, no one's going to show up for the back of the wall. We're like, yes, people are going to show up to this game with their ticket. So when people showed up, they're like, well, you can have our seats down there. It's much closer. They said, no, we want our seats. You need to go to your seat. And then they would move to the next area with it. And then the same thing would happen. No, you need to go to your seat. And it was people didn't want to give up their shade seat.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason we picked these seats. We know why we're here because we've done this for a while or whatever. Like some people know what's up. It's like, yeah, being top in the back, we get shade, protection from the sun. So, and it's like, guess what? Like you're outnumbered, regardless of what's on the scoreboard at the moment. You outnumbered. You get a move.
Yeah, I mean, it was very polite, but it was very stern. Of like, this is our seat, guys.
It's like you don't move. I'm getting security.
Yeah,
or whatever. That's what I'm doing. It's like
there was some grumpy huffing and puffing, but it was nothing that was going to be a fight or anything like that. But game started, and woo, what a disaster that first minute and a half was. Like the entire side, the OU side was just shell shocked for the moment of what the hell is going on. What happened? Why did we come out flat again? People were already lit of like Riley at Grinch. This defense is not prepared. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I was with them of why are we coming out flat to this game again?
Well, Jaden Davis got taken out to lunch most of that game, and this team needs Woody Washington back desperately. I don't know when they're going to get him back, but Jaden Davis can't be a starter. All due respect, like he got burnt way too many times. DJ Graham, they don't throw to DJ Graham's side because they saw the Nebraska pick. Latrell McCutcheon obviously is still a true freshman, so he's going to have his moments, but he has the talent to blossom into something special. I believe he's just a true freshman, and he has to play based on need. But they need Woody Washington back. And I know Darren Turner-Yell got hurt like either on that play or the very next drive. He only played like 2 plays. So
like, why are we starting a freshman? And it came out, oh, that's why. We didn't find out till after the game that Turner-Yell was out. They didn't say it.
Well, he started, but he re-aggravated his injury, whatever it was. So he had to, and so Broyles was playing hurt. Justin Broyles was playing hurt too. He tackled fairly well in that game. So secondary was playing banged up, and hopefully that hopefully whatever Turner-Yell, it's not too long term if he can come back, because I don't know like who they put back there. I don't know if you finally have to give Bryson Washington a look or whatever, but they don't trust Bryson Washington yet. Like he was a big time 4-star. Like they don't trust him yet. So people ask about Joshua Eaton too. Like, what about Joshua Eaton? If Joshua Eaton was good enough, and he was like, they would put him out there. It's like it's not like quarterback where, which I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about that soon. But that it's just this whole game felt like I said it before a couple weeks ago. I said if something doesn't change, guys, the ass whooping's coming. It was gonna, and this was the day it was going to arrive. Like of all days, this was the worst day, and the ass whooping was about to take place. But the funny thing about all of it is that even when you got to halftime, I looked at everything that had happened, and I thought to myself, "It is amazing. This could have been a lot worse." Believe it or not.
It's funny you say that because all of us at halftime, our little OU contingency was going, we're still in this. Texas has not put us away. And we had to explain that to some of the OU fans. We're like, well, I'm going back to the fair. And we're like, guys, there is still 58 minutes to play. There is 4 quarters. There is a lot of football to play. Yes,
I quoted Barry Switzer on the Twitch stream where I said, he said, you know what the best part is about being down 21 points in the first quarter? It's like you got 3 quarters to get back at the son of a bitch. I paraphrased it, but that's what he said in the NFC regarding the NFC title game against San Francisco, where the Cowboys turned the ball over early multiple times in the first quarter, and they made a valiant comeback, but the 49ers still won. And so they didn't win the damn thing, but it's like, well, still, you had time to get back in the game, and you go into half only it's 38-20.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem that insurmountable because, well, just something important changed. But I'm sorry, Gavin, you're going to say something. My bad.
It's fine. I was gonna say, it's like after. I will just say this: it felt like, and I'm just gonna kind of look at the similarity of this. It had that feeling of like a 20, and I'm just saying this because Sark came from Alabama. It had that feeling of the 2018 Orange Bowl game, with Alabama at that point. That's kind of where I felt like at that moment, and it was like, okay, we're probably going to slowly get back, and then we're going to lose it at the very last second. That's where I really felt when, because it just had that sort of feel. It really did, because it was like, it just had that feel for some weird reason, because it was like, I really thought, if anything, they might pull it back, but, at the end, oh God, that scared the crap out of me.
That was some thunder.
Yeah. Yeah, so
only if we had that live mic there, Herb Street. see, Gavin, the big thing though is I didn't feel that way. In the stadium when you walked, there was a different attitude at pregame. OU was amped, but they were not amped yet. Texas walked in with business on their mind. They were not jumping around. They were not doing like
Sark walked in with some stupid pants too. God,
see, we didn't see that stuff. We just saw Texas walk in. They were not celebrating. They were focused. We knew like they were here to play a game. They were not, OU's higher ranked. They wanted to win it, and you could tell it. Their band was hopping around. They were getting the Texas side really, really energized, but the players were they wanted to play this game. And you saw that. I mean, we were frustrated on the OU side up until the second quarter where it just seemed like we couldn't get out of our own way. Mistakes after mistakes. There wasn't really penalties because they just let them play all day.
No, they didn't get a penalty till the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they let them play. I mean, it was getting nasty a little bit. We're like, we see holding, guys. Call the dang penalty. They let them play. Kudos to the refs. They didn't play favorites. They literally let them play. On the
team. I love this. Like the refs are against us. Like the Big 12 refs are against which team that's leaving the conference in a year or two? Which ones are they going to like screw over in this game?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, exactly. And that's the thing where it was like, really fast, Gavin. It was both sides by the end of the game were complaining about that. OU, I mean, to be fair, I was part of it too on it, where it was like every time OU did something, the ref would call it wrong. Everybody in the stadium saw it, where it was like the Caleb Kelly fumble. He recovered it. It was blatant. Brooks was down. It was blatant. And then they're like, when the entire half of the OU side started booing, they're like, time to review it. And they're like, well,
the first quarter took like an hour and a half. It seemed like there were so many reviews.
Yeah.
It's like,
They wouldn't stop reviewing our stuff. That's where we got frustrated. The Texas people said they got frustrated because there was nothing that was being called. They're like, oh, so we're just going to be that side. It is what it is. The refs were going to play both sides, but they let them play. They let them play no matter what.
Okay, and I'm just going to go back to another play too, because this was, I believe, it was during the third quarter.
Well,
it was
hold that thought. We're going to go in order. We're going to go in order on it. We're going to go in order because I have my mind on it for everything. So hold that third quarter thought. So the first quarter, it was definitely Texas side. Texas side was energized. They were all full on Texas fight. OU sucks. Full on everything. We were shell shocked pretty much on our side, and we're saying, what is going on? Why is Riley not doing this? Why did they come out really crappy, right? So that goes all the way into the second quarter. The first interception that happens, we're like, fine. It looks like Stogner and not Riley, Radler were not on the same page, but the stands started saying like Radler looks really slow right now. He doesn't look committed to the run. That touchdown into the end zone looked like he hesitated. And it doesn't look like the O-line wants to play for Radler. And that rumor started to just kind of go. And then when the second time, when Radler had that bad fumble, there is no excuse. The crowd started, we want Caleb. It started. And I think it knew. They knew they had to do something. And the moment Caleb had, I think it was 65 or 66-yard touchdown, 66. You knew you had to throw Caleb in. When it happened, mind you, in front of me, and I'll do the direction this way for it to show y'all. We saw the run happen, but it didn't happen in front of us in the sense of it went into the sidelines, and it was the Cotton Bowl tiers was just enough where we didn't see him run in through the sideline with it. We saw a majority of the run, but we didn't actually see the scoring part of it. The unfortunate part of being up high, you may not see some of that stuff with it, but he got in, and you could tell the momentum completely changed where the crowd was, you got to throw Caleb in. And when that happened, the crowd on the OU side lit up. Like it got insane on it. Like there was clapping and cheering. Yeah, I feel bad for Spencer too. Don't get me wrong. They needed to do something because whatever it was not working. But we saw whenever they threw Caleb in, the O-line was doing much better. The wide receivers were getting open. There was people saying it where it's like the O-line wants to play for Caleb, they don't want to play for Radler.
Well, I mean, Radler, after the Caleb run, Radler still came back in for 2 more series. Like he led them down for a field goal. It was just got close. And it's like, I felt like that was like, cause they were just outside the red zone, and props to Gabe Burkich, who just had an amazing day. Once again, he was perfect. And him
and Dick are both, like both of them are just fantastic kickers. Like they're going to make money.
The thing that really sucks I think it killed it for Radler. We're in the first half, and the defense forces a punt, and you're down 11. It's like, okay, that's the turning point, and then Radler fumbles the football and kills all momentum, and Texas gets a touchdown, and you just ask yourself, how did we just lose momentum? And then they put Caleb in, and he leads them down for a field goal, and it's like, and that's where I said to myself, okay, Texas tacks on. Of course, the defense gives up like a field goal, and it just like evens the net. We're down 18, and I said, you know what, it could have been a lot worse, and down 18. But my mindset was this: like, realistically, what was going to happen in my head is like, Caleb's going to make a few plays with his legs. He might complete a few passes. We might get close, but I don't know if the defense is going to find their way to can the defense get enough stops is the question. And it's like, and the whole thing going through my mind is like, Caleb's going to score some points, and it's the end of the day, like he'll do good enough where people are going to think, wow, what if he had started the whole game? What could have happened? We could have won. And it was going to be a long year with this entire fan base, and a long year with questioning the coaching staff and Lincoln Riley. And we're still having that now with a win. But not
it was the worst. As you said, though, that's the worst case scenario for Radler is not only does he come out, show up, and make it close, he comes out and becomes a hero. Like, this is the worst case. Mind you, there's a lot of controversy with it. We were talking about it at halftime. All of the OU people were like, you have to go with Caleb the rest of the game. He did something with this offense. What we think it is because he has better legs than, at least from what we has observed, he has better legs than Spencer, and he was calm and composed. He and had poise. He did not fall to pressure like Radler was doing. It changed how the offensive line was working, and it opened up the run game as well. We saw like all the dominoes starting to fall. So by halftime, we were like, we're still in this. We're not out of it yet. It's going to be an uphill battle. But the other thing we had faith in was Casey Thompson. He either injured I think it was his pinky or his thumb. And we all saw his throws were not, he has an arm. I have to get that out of the way. Casey has an arm. My goodness, he has a.
Well, yeah, I saw the injury too on TV, and it's like he looked effective to me. I don't know. Obviously there was some I don't know if like he's injured, but obviously he threw some perfect balls when he absolutely needed to late in the game to get his team back in it. So I think that had a lot more to do with the D-line getting pressure, even if they didn't get to him, forcing bad throws, forcing inaccuracies. I think you got to credit that D-line more, because whatever his injury was, I don't think it had as much an effect as it did like when Nick Benito was awesome again, and what they did with Isaiah Thomas is that at halftime, I listened to the unofficial 40 or the post game pod, and Jamar Thibodeau and Kane got together and said, "Hey, let's move? I know Isaiah's your guy, but can we move him inside?" He's like, "Absolutely, move him inside." So they needed a playmaker next to Perrion on the inside to get pressure up the middle, because that Texas O-line is still garbage. Regardless of the final score and how this game turned out, they needed to putting Isaiah in the middle next to Perrion to make some plays, to get some pressure up. If you can get a quarterback if you make a quarterback nervous, like right in the middle, guard, center guard, his life is going to be miserable. And that's exactly what happened in the second half. He still made his plays. He still made some amazing throws when he absolutely had to, but it was not an easy pickings for him. Not for a minute.
I think it too was when Casey was throwing it, and he said in post game his whatever finger it was, whatever digit was bothering him.
It was a middle finger.
It was middle finger. Okay, well, he said he couldn't.
Was it this?
What?
Easy.
When he said when he threw the ball, we saw in the stadium the ball was not spiral. It was very wibbly wobbly. So he was almost like chucking and praying at that point. It was effective still, don't get me wrong, but we even could tell up top, like, these are not the same throws he was making earlier. Who knows how this game goes if those darts happen, because we saw also he just kept chucking it downfield. He wasn't making these short passes. I don't know if that's more because his finger was hurting, if that was due to play calling. We don't know. We're never going to figure that out with it.
I think it's like the same injury that I think Russell Wilson has at this point, though, too, because they were comparing that with Russell Wilson.
Well, if that's true, he's out for 2 months. So
yeah,
my fantasy football's crying right now. Thanks, Gavin.
I don't think Casey Thompson's out for 2 months.
Actually, I should be the one crying because of how my team's performing. So that's kind of where
yeah. So going third quarter, I know this is where everything seemed to change. And I can tell you exactly when the momentum shift changed. Texas kind of had that feeling that they couldn't put us away. We saw it in the mannerisms near the press box, okay? And the couple Texas fans that were in our group. And mind you, those Texas fans outside the little bunch that kept moving around, they were great. They were joking with us. They were having a good time. They
need to be on their best behavior. They're in hostile territory. If you have to be a fool to act like a dick in hostile territory in that place. My God.
Well, they were still cracking jokes with us though and having a fun time. They're like,
sure, but you don't cross. You don't cross the line like some dude bros potentially would, depending on where you're sitting.
There's one on Twitter.
Okay, I do have a quick question, Josh, and this is something I've heard about, but I want to know if it's true. Okay, so you know how like that section of the tunnel, is where part of that is taken out and everything. Is that same part of that side is on the Texas side in order to accommodate that? Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought, because I'm just wondering for how that bunch tried to survive the entire game. Though that was sort of what I was kind of curious about.
that it's part of the experience where it's like you have the 50-50 split, but then you just have that little bit of OU contingency on the Texas side. That's just part of it, and that's just an accepted part of the game with it. No one ever gets hostile right there. It's usually the 50-yard lines where
it's the neutral zone.
Yeah, that's considered. They're like, and that's the visiting team section. We don't really care. I've been on the 50-yard. That's where the fun is, really, where you can cuss.
They need to have like
everything.
They need to have a section like down both sidelines of like 2 or 3 seats wide that are not allowed to be sat in. So you have like a literal neutral zone.
Oh,
So people just
brain mode.
Yeah,
something like that. I'm kidding, of course.
Okay,
But
are you?
Okay, so I want to get to this third quarter play though too, because I remember that huge Kennedy Brooks run that I saw. You know what I'm talking about, where they thought he basically fumbled the ball. We thought he fumbled.
Oh,
the
thing
ball
that they called the fumble, that wasn't the fumble, and we were all booing and spitting at the ref saying y'all are blind, and then they went, yeah, it wasn't a fumble, guys.
Can I defend the referees for a moment here?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Like I'm not trashing the refs on it. It was just, it is what it is. They made their initial call. You're just in a hostile environment.
Well, if
I could defend the let me defend the refs. Referees, even in the pros, like I've seen it a lot today in the NFL. If there's a chance it's a fumble, refs nowadays are told to let the play happen, because if it's legitimately a fumble and they take it back for a score, then if it's a fumble, then you don't take away a score that could have been, that could have been what, because if you mark it down and you're wrong, you invalidate a team making a defensive scoop and score. So that's why they're going to let, if they're not sure, if it's a bang bang moment and they're just not sure, because everyone's human, it's like, they can go back and say he was down and wipe off the score or wipe off the change of possession. So sure, I get people are upset, but thankfully instant replay still works. This is not a Pac-12 officiating crew, and we can we're able to.
And that was the big thing too, is like for us, and I agree with you, Sean, on that. Where
I'm not going to defend the refs every week, mind you. That's just like my common sense.
Right. And that was just one of those, like, it is what it is. It's just when you're in the moment, everyone's going to be like, how did you not see it? It happened right in front of you with it. That was just more of it. But you could tell, like, the OU fans weren't happy. And then when they reversed it, the Texas fans weren't happy. It was going to be booing no matter what. It's that type of environment.
Like, they were more upset about back in the first quarter, Mike Woods like stepping out of bounds, and they called it a push off or whatever, and that he
because it was a push off. They showed it on instant replay where
that was it was close though. It really did look like he went out. I was like, oh, we got a break there.
It was just like the I'm trying to remember. It was either in the first quarter or the second one where it was the muffed punt, and our guy was pushed by the Texas guy, and they said that they called it for Texas, recovered it, but then they had to review and be like, no, one of our guys was pushed into it, and that upset the Texas side too. They said the rest were not on our side.
Well, actually, and I'm just going to bring this back. It wasn't really because the problem is, it's like if a Texas guy pushes into it, and I've seen it quite a few times, they're not going to really call that, when you have, that you're, one of your opposing player pushing off another player and all that. I've rarely seen that penalty from what I've seen.
But it is a penalty. If you push like the opposing, if you do that, they can't. That is a penalty.
Yeah.
So
that's a penalty.
I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah. I don't know why. I've just never seen it. I've just never seen it, being called, from some of the games I've seen for some reason.
It's happened in plenty. I've seen it. I've seen an Alabama game. I've seen it in Ohio State game.
But I will say, I will say this: the only saving grace was that it touched that Texas's player helmet right there. So that was sort of the only saving grace. When he was pushing that player off, it basically hit the Texas's player helmet, so it was basically called dead right there.
I guess on it. I mean, we all saw like our guy was pushed into it. Like, it was momentum of it and everything like that.
Yeah, so. But whenever he pushed it, while he was still pushing to it, it hit that Texas's player head, and that's when they basically brought the ball back, like from like wherever that spot was, to like another 10 or 15 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the.
Right.
Oh,
Sean,
go
you were
ahead.
the one that mentioned a couple times. So the team momentum changed when Caleb made his 66-yard run. The entire OU section changed when the Marvin Mims pass happened. When the deep ball became a threat,
You
wanted
mean
me to bring it up.
the first one on third?
Yeah.
That first one.
Yeah. That.
What,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say that was. It's like, oh my God, we're making plays to Marvin Mims again. It's been 84 years. It's finally happening. And
when that play happened, though, you won. I saw your video. When did the crowd become a factor? That is when the crowd lit up, and it made Texas life a living hell the rest of the game, because I saw that they said it was like 116 decibels from our side. I don't necessarily believe that.
You know,
we were loud.
You know what's funny about the crowd is that television, obviously visually it was amazing, and audibly I have to go back and watch it without like an annoying Twitch stream going on my head, in my ear as well, which I plan to do. I watched the fourth quarter today for the most part, but I'm gonna go back and watch the whole thing and mash my teeth through some parts. But going back and looking at cell phone footage, like I saw yours and saw others on YouTube. I don't know what it is, but like it does not pick up the sound. Like, obviously ESPN is like a major production. They have like 25 different sound channels for big football games. Like for when a Fowler Herb Street football game, there's like over 20 different channels of audio they're recording simultaneously, and they can feed to. So obviously they can pipe it, they can feed it a lot better. But isolated in one section, it doesn't sound as loud. It sounds weird to say that, but it's like, man, it doesn't sound as loud at this point. But it's like, but I've been there before. I know it gets really loud, because there's nothing more eerie or unique. There's something just eerie unique about that stadium, where your side could be cheering and going nuts, and then when something bad happens to your team, everyone is dead silent and far off in the distance. It's like an invading army is over there, like it just going crazy, and it's like it's loud, it's distance loud, and then it's like it's just, there's nothing else like it. But it's just, but I've said it before on my channel. I was like, I would have I should have found a loan shark or somebody to get some cash. It's like
the mafia.
Listen, I get paid a few weeks, and you can have the entire check. I need to get a plane ticket. I need to get to Dallas and get paid. It's just, oh man, just like to be there for that fourth quarter.
It was insane. There is no words to describe the fourth quarter, because get this. So after the Mims, after that's when our side was like, we feel this momentum, because it's been back and forth, this roller coaster.
Didn't they settle like that first Mims catch? I think that they settled for a field goal, right? I think.
Yeah, they did. Which is
like, damn it.
We were upset that Lincoln kept going for field goals, but hey, that's why I'm not paid the big bucks, because he won. So, but that's when the crowd got involved, saying we have a chance, and it kept going. Like the bands were playing, we would start cheering, then Texas would start. When Texas started doing Texas Fight, we would do Boomer Sooner at the same time. Both sides were just rolling at it. But then our side started to get really creative to create mayhem on Texas when they were on our side. We started cheering, and then one person usually in our section would go defense as something like the hockey one. Then the entire side would start that. And then they just kept getting more and more creative. We kept hearing thunder. And we're like, is this the machines from the fair? What's going on? The section near the ramp, and it spread. They started getting off their benches and started beating their benches with their hands and feet, and it became so loud.
The big play after, when Texas had possession, the big play, and God bless that he came back for this game, Danny Stutzman's sack.
Oh, it lit the fourth. Oh, the side was insane.
Yeah.
Stutzman's sack set the tone, and they didn't get anything after that. It was incomplete, and they were under pressure, and Thompson was under pressure again and again. And
if you can talk about crowd though, that crowd exploded when he got sacked.
Okay. So what quarter are we in right now within this conversation?
We're in the fourth quarter, And so
Okay, we're in the fourth.
Yeah,
okay,
we're in the fourth.
So, okay. Whew, that was a good loud crack.
Now, Caleb Williams, real quick, he needs all the shotgun quarterback center exchange reps this week.
Oh, there were some nervous ones,
What?
but I mean, to his credit, like him picking up that muffed snap and throwing it, like we were all going insane with it. And here's the thing, I have to pass this on while I was thinking about it. In the fourth quarter, when we tied it up, I have to give the announcer, I think, it was definitely OU, because they knew they could not lose this crowd for it. You know what they played? You heard, da, 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 da. Jump
Superman.
around started
jump
around started. The entire OU started jumping around. Texas looked like, what the hell is going on?
Wisconsin
kept us in this crowd.
Wisconsin about to sue somebody. Here we go.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, see, and now here's the thing I'm jealous of for y'all as well with it. While I was there, insanity. I have to give. I saw the highlights with Fowler and Herb Street. Man, they were calling a hell of a game. They were having fun.
I actually watched the broadcast, and man, I'm not kidding you. They literally had a blast. They were like schoolboys, seeing the game for the first time. That's what it felt like.
Well, it's funny you say it, because Fowler has never called this game. This was the first time he got to call it, and it's been a bucket list for him. And he was going. Not only did he might have called the greatest one ever, and it's just the fact that we got the prime time treatment, but just it was like, our typical 11 a.m. kick. We got like the prime. We got the A team for this game.
Yeah, it's. I would say it was. I think this was probably like, it was probably like one of the best. Like, and I'm not kidding you. Besides that, it was just like a whole good slate of marquee games. Besides this game, that was.
Well, yeah, you had this one, and at the exact same time, Ole Miss and Arkansas are having a classic, and then Penn State and Iowa have a slugfest in Iowa City, and Iowa did not disappoint the sick children. They won the big game for them, and they cured all their cancer. And then you get to prime time, and then Bama loses to A&M. I never thought I'd utter those words, but I guess once a decade they're going to do that. I guess if you play them enough times,
finds enough every so often. So,
and may I, when I do want to say this, Jimbo Fisher, first former assistant to beat Nick Saban, the first ever.
First time for everything.
Blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah.
The thing I see, and y'all mentioned the other games. If there's one thing, the signal in the Cotton Bowl's crap. Okay, there was only so much.
You don't say.
It was bad. It was really bad. Thanks AT&T, but we have a theory with us Verizon users that they blocked it because we had no signal the entire time. Some of the AT&T people had it, but regardless, we were kind of thankful that we didn't have to worry about the other games. They kept us glued to the field on it, and like I said, that.
But honestly, like, what other game would you? But honestly, what other game would you care about? If
people were asking about that one.
But that was like a 2:30 kick, though, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was actually later than that. But I was like, you're undefeated. Like, if you lose, like, your season's in trouble. If you win, who cares? Like, someone's gonna lose. Like, someone's gonna bump up, someone's gonna drop. Like that. That's my mentality. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a college football fan too, and it was. Let me tell you this. I could not give two whats about any other game for like 2.5 hours. I had the TV on, but I really wasn't paying attention because how could you? Like, who? Like, I just like, I don't care what anything that's happening right now. My brain was broken. But and then what looked like a lost cause, like we're going to come up short, and there's penalties, and then you had the Kennedy Brooks, where it looked like he was down, but then he didn't. He is down. Then he saved some yardage after the penalties, and it's just. And then 3rd and 19 came up.
It's kind of funny because it just has. That was like
3rd and 19 happened. It's burned in my brain the image of Caleb chucking that son of a bitch as hard as he could with which looked like it was straight up arm strength. Like he was like throwing off of his back foot. He's like, I'm getting that ball there. And then I don't know if you were able to see the replay in the stadium. Did they have
they didn't. So they did not show the pylon. Okay,
dude, the pylon replay.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? I'm pulling Twitter up and I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get that.
Do you remember Shepard?
Well, hey, Gavin, don't worry about pulling it up because actually, unless I have it on my photos, it actually flags my my video. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
What I'm gonna say is like, do you remember the Shepard TD at Baylor like in 15? Like where he literally like went into the we have a new champion.
Gosh, yeah. Well, we went electric because of the catch he made. They never really showed, as far as I remember, the foot, like how close it was.
But the fact he made the catch, but like everyone, I remember Roland was waiting, Fowler was waiting. I on my stupid Twitch stream, I'm just like, I'm staring at the side, like I'm like, put your arms up, put your arms up, and it took him a little bit, but he finally did, and it's like, oh my god! And then they went
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It's like they went to replay, but when they showed the pylon, it was like, oh my god.
It was so good. It was so amazing. And the funny part was we saw the celebration in the end zone once they finally called it with him waving his arms. We're like, new TD celebration right there, guys. New one. We were all cracking like we were energized. And that was kind of the point too, where it was like the team is giving it all. We had to be in this game until the very end. We were hugging, we were clapping. Like our side was just like insane. It was probably, as a fan, the single most batshit crazy experience I've had.
I would be open mouth kissing anyone near me. Like gender doesn't matter.
I mean, I was being hugged. We were all meeting everybody. I had a person. He was behind. He's big. At least 6'3". He's as tall as you, Sean. He grabs me and a guy I met named Chris, grabs my neck. He's like, "We're in this together, boys." Oh man, it was great. And we were all like, "We ain't leaving until this
I have a neck injury from the war. It didn't matter." Ow.
Oh, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because my neck was sunburned, and he grabbed the sunburn. I'm like, gritting through the pain. Oh man, it was great. Oh, the crowd was in it. The crowd never left, and we all said the thing we noticed when that happened. We saw the Texas side and we saw their faces like this is about to happen.
Oh, they got some good shots.
Oh, it's coming.
Like ABC got some good shots. Like I need to go back and do the classic Simpsons. Look, Lise, you can actually narrow the moment that his heart ripped in half. Right there.
Oh man, you could see that. You could see it though, Sean. You could see Gavin like their faces like this is really happening. Oh, he's gonna do it again. Like the faces were there. Now our Texas friends who were next to us, they were cracking. It's like this is about.
If I'm Caleb Williams, which I'm not, I am not as sexy or as attractive as Caleb Williams. But if I were, and I happen to actually be him, my next NIL deal for merch is like a Jordan-esque logo, a Jordan logo-esque type of me chucking that ball silhouette like that. Like I would totally, that would be my
t-shirt.
Like
a Jumpman logo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like because it wasn't your typical I'm gonna stand back in the pocket and throw. He heaved that thing like it was like his life depended on it. And that's what I think that's what you could feel he put I don't know how great is like obviously he's got an arm, but it's like he jumped up and threw it with the torque, and it was just you could feel the energy, and it was like he threw a ballistic missile.
Now that was when they got it back down to 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Radler came in and hit the 2-point conversion, which I'm sure everyone was very confused.
We were pissed actually in the stands. We're like, "Why are you throwing Radler back in? Throw Caleb back in. What are you doing?"
I know why he did it, and thank Christ it worked because of it. For whatever reason, if that was like a turning point that cost the game, it was like that would have been like but I know why he did it because.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't because of. I will say this. It was not because of Radler, but the way the crowd was feeding off the players and the players were feeding off that, it was chills. I don't know another way to describe it when everyone went Stoops. Like, oh, you felt it.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's Radler's last play ever as an OU football player for whatever reason, it was a good one, and he just goes out on a high note. But I mean, I my guess is that he was felt more comfortable. Radler knows those 2-point plays, like because like Caleb's not getting first team reps right now. Now tomorrow it'll be very fascinating because who's getting first team reps this week? Like he knows what he's got to do.
But I want to get to the kickoff and everything because that was also another big play that actually happened.
Oh, if you want to talk about, like I said, everybody was like in sync. The band was playing, which caused the crowd to get energized, which caused the players. OU was lit up on their side. They were bouncing around. They were hopping. They were running to the sidelines. I think we actually got into a sideline infraction because of how energized they were. When that fumble happened with Caleb Kelly, the crowd just screamed. I mean, you could have lit up fire. Oh my goodness.
I'll be honest. When I first saw the play, I thought, okay, we got a nice tackle, and now let's get our defense going. That's what I thought. No, I did not see how Caleb just basically ripped that ball out and just basically cuddled it and go down to the ground. It was, something I was really, really impressed by.
The way he was acting and the way the players he's acting like he took that ball away, and players do that anyway. But it's just like, I'm like. Fowler is like, and then like the people on my stream is like, I'm like, guys, I think he took that ball away. I think that's his. And then when you see the replay, it's like he just took it and went down, and there was no question. There was no denying he took that football.
If you want to talk about the Texas fans booing, they were pissed on that one. They were booing. We're like, he took it. It was clean taken, guys. Go ahead, Gavin.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was just gonna say this, and the whole, and it's not really defense, but it was like from the whole like live, seeing it live, it was like I couldn't really tell that he did have the ball. I really thought, okay, play was over. Let's get a stop. That was my first reaction on it, but then once the replay started going, it was like, oh my gosh. Because it was just sort of like, it's just like in that sort of play where it's like so quick that you blink and you miss it. That was that play. It was like blink, you missed it. That was what it felt like.
Well, and that was one of those things too where we said we needed a turnover. We needed that one little piece to make this game a tie game, and then it happened. That's the OU side just never stopped on the fourth quarter. It was. Like I said, it was hell for Texas when they had the ball, and when that freshman gave it up.
we tied. The game was tied, and then it's just like, okay, we got to get a stop somehow, and then all of a sudden it's 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line, and then
Kennedy Brooks.
And then Riley pulls a rabbit. He starts doing direct snaps, which I loved. And because I used to cheese that play, like in the old PS2 days of NCAA football, the direct snap to the rope to the halfback. And it's like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And we haven't even talked about Kennedy Brooks to an extent yet. But obviously
because he's fantastic, and we haven't got to that part yet.
But no, like the fact that we were able to finally run the football, and I said before before the game, it's like Marcus Major's eligible now. He didn't play it down, but that's not the point. The point of the matter is that we now have 3 scholarship backs, and Riley in the back of his head now doesn't have to, be hesitant or, put handcuffs on his running game. Okay, Kennedy, I don't want to give you more than 15 carries because heaven forbid something happens and I'm screwed and all I have is Eric Gray. And like, because as all the nice things people said about Jaden Knowles and Todd Hudson, they haven't played a meaningful down all year. So That tells me all I need to know. I don't think they're bad people, but it's just they're walk-ons for a reason. So
Yeah.
it's
I mean, there's
just
a reason why we're using Jeremiah Hall over both of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just you now have that luxury of having 3 scholarship backs.
And he didn't hold back. We were so happy in the stands that he was running the football and feeding Kennedy Brooks.
And
I'm
he
not,
is just...
I mean, in person, I'm still not impressed by... he's okay. I still don't think Gray has established himself as like this other option, but Kennedy Brooks is just so many leagues above me.
Okay, stay tuned for that though, because I think we're going to see a different Eric Gray as the season goes on. I think stay tuned on that one. Okay. But for Brooks, it's just he is just so patient for holes to develop, for lanes in. He has that he just like you go back to games against Baylor a couple years ago, and he just has such a long stride where he doesn't look like he's running that fast, but damn, I don't know. It is so hard to crack the pantheon of legendary OU football running backs. It's just so hard to do that. But to me, he's like a Chris Brown, a Kewan Jones. Like I would put him in that category. And Chris Brown had some big games too, but again, he was overshadowed by being part of like that legendary 08 offense. And just like, you have all these, big plays by receivers and Gresham and all that stuff. But like Brooks is standing out more and more. And like, as much as we love Caleb and what he did, Kennedy Brooks is the MVP of that game. Not just for the last play, but just for the fact that he outperformed Bijan Robinson. We haven't even talked about Bijan because
there's so much to take in.
he made plays in the first half, but they shut him down in the second half for the most part. Like I think
Bijan had a good day.
They contained him. Like a running back at Texas having over 100 yards and a touchdown is a solid day for any running back in major college football. But Bijan Robinson was like, they were trying to hype him up for Heisman because like Bijan Robinson for Heisman. And listen, don't get me wrong. He made some plays in that game.
I mean, he was almost like Reggie Bush-esque, in that first.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far because we weren't doing that good in the trenches in the first half, and it just made him look better. Now that being said, man, I wish we had Bijan as well. Like Bijan is he's very talented. But I'm still blown that Texas gave up 300 and something yards of rushing to OU, and Kennedy Brooks had I think like 217 on his own. Dude was a boss.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
What?
This is Dennis Dodd from CBS. So he put out 8 players for Heisman height. Number 1, Kenneth Walker, Michigan State running back. He's a really good player. Like people talk about Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Number 2, Caleb Williams.
What?
He has the story.
This is Dennis. This is Dennis Dodd right here. So this is one person. So don't.
He has the story.
But yeah, no, he has the moment.
He has the moment. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't say the story. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a storyline involving, but like when I say story, when I talk about the 3 things you need for a Heisman, you need stats, a moment, and story. I always talk about I come from a small Texas town with 1 stoplight, or my mother had brain cancer and like I took care of her, and I worked 2 jobs in high school. Those the puff pieces that all writers love, like that type of story. I came back from 2 ACLs and led Oklahoma to the BCS title game. Jason White, that type of stuff. Man,
what was Bradford's story?
That he was
legacy.
Well, and plus he was the quarterback and like the greatest offense ever. So of course he was going to win it regardless. Sometimes if you're really good with 2 out of 3, sometimes the third one doesn't matter.
Yeah. But Bradford
like-
was a legacy player, though. I mean, that was the thing, and it was always him versus Colton.
Yeah, I mean, Kent Bradford, I mean, like, it's not, I wouldn't, it's not the same thing as like what Casey had. Obviously, he played for the other team. Charles Thompson had that. He was the starting quarterback. Trying to think of other guys, other legacy guys off the top of my head. I know I'm missing something. Obviously, the Overtons, which if we can get another Overton, like at some point, that'd be great. I like our chances for that. But I'll tell you what, though, with Bryce Young losing, like, seriously, I mean, I know we're getting off track and we want to get to the end of this game, but there's
so much to take in from this week, and you almost need a part 1 and a part 2.
Well, okay, well, honestly, they take the lead with the Kennedy Brooks like direct snap, and then of course it's like we have the lead. We took the lead after being down 21 points, and there's still 7 minutes left in the game.
So okay, so I want to start from there. So when Kennedy Brooks made that run, first, my friend Kayla, I will send it to you, Sean and Gavin. She has the full video from our seat of that first run. Beautiful run. It's not like mine where I was able to get 5 seconds of the last one. This was the beautiful. You saw all of it. The OU side just exploded and just said, we're going to win this game. And though everybody said there's still 7 minutes, they've been beating us on the long pass, that emotional back and forth. We're like, we know it's coming. We know they're going to score again. We have to get in the field goal range, or we got to burn this clock at this point. The defense has to make a stop. I mean,
they had a shot to potentially run out the clock, but they just couldn't. And then Caleb, again, the quarterback center snap, that almost was a disaster.
Yeah,
he's got to get those reps.
Yeah, but I will say though, at that game though, when you mentioned fourth quarter, that to me was the epitome of what you think of OU Texas. Boomer, Sooner, Texas. We were all doing it at the same time.
It was loud, and it's
it was loud. Like, we were banging on the bleachers. They were screaming. The bands were. I mean, it was full out war at that point with it. They knew they could not stop OU, and we were saying, bring the Texas offense back in. They're tired. They looked tired. Casey looked tired. Bijan looked tired. We were all saying, get them in because, yes, it will benefit us, but get them in because we can stop them. And Texas, to the credit to the fans around, they're like, we can't stop you guys. We have to score. And they did. I mean, we were like, we got to watch the long ball, and there goes the long ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, they went back and forth, and Casey obviously got the big play down the field to tie it up, and it's like, okay. And everyone's expecting just get it within range for Gabe. This is everyone thought this is going to set up potentially the biggest kick in the history of OU football. Sorry, I was like, Von Shaman, sorry, you got to move out of the way. I know it was like top 5 matchup in 77 on the road, but we're setting up for a new contender for number 1 kick in OU football history. And that's why I'm just like, just get it where Gabe likes it. Just put it wherever Gabe likes it. And then they get down there. There's some questionable clock management by Riley. I'm sure people were very upset.
We were, but we were so energized. Like, everybody has to be quiet. We have to give the offense everything we can. Shh. We have to give them everything. Like, we saw them setting up though with it, because we're like, he threw it to Stogner. Stogner had, or he threw it to, I think it was Stoops. They set it up where it was like a Kennedy Brooks, a Stoops, Stogner, and then it was like, I brought my phone up. Okay, my story with the camera was, I'm like, I'll get the game-winning kick. That's gonna happen. Kennedy Brooks decided we don't need kicks, and we don't do kicks in this household. We are going to run that damn ball, and oh my gosh, the stadium, just everyone was like, we're going to win this thing. We are going to overcome a deficit again. You can't replicate it.
It's like Fowler lost his mind as it happened. And Bob Stoops lost it. He was watching it on the set, and like he lost his mind.
Oh my gosh. Bob's reaction was priceless.
And of course, afterwards, we get PTSD a little bit because we squib kicked it to win the game.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was a good squib kick. It was actually a properly done squib kick, because it went up to a lead blocker as opposed to a guy with speed that could do anything with it. So, and ironically, Jaden Davis of all people made the tackle. So
I'll take it.
Jaden Davis had a rough day. God, did he have a rough day getting burned? But you know what? He made that tackle.
He took his frustration out on that last game. But man, when it happened with the Kennedy Brooks run, that he was going to run all the way. Like I said, the guy behind me, the big 6'3" guy, he grabbed me, Chris, and like whoever else he could. He was like, "We're good, boys!" And
come here, you.
Oh man, we were hugging.
Come here, stranger I've never met.
Oh, everybody was family at that point, and I can tell you, Kayla, we can attest with everybody. She clapped so hard, she bruised her hands and has calluses on them. That was kind of everybody. We're like,
if you're not, that means you weren't doing it good. It means you were doing it correctly. If you didn't have calluses at the end of the day, you weren't trying hard enough.
Like
look, if I had been there with you, like,
you would have lost your mind too.
well, of course, okay, but like, I most of my reactions from here were just like, kind of like that, and then like, but I obviously lost my mind on the final touchdown. I screamed, like, I remember this is what I said, but for the first Mims catch, the big play for Mims, and I'm like, at the time I said, my God, that's like the biggest catch he's made in his career. Fast forward like another series, no, that was the biggest catch he's made in his career. That was yet to come in the same game.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And then the students rushed the field, and normally I would turn my nose up at that crap. But you know what? When you make a big comeback against your rival and you rip their effing hearts out like that,
go for it. Upset. Now the guys next to us, they were like,
go for it.
Oh my goodness! Like the security tried to stop, but they were quickly
like scissor hands. The local Norman barber, who's the big OU guy barber. He was there. He went. He's like, F it. We went out there too. So like that was cool. So, it's great when you win a trophy game. It's a rivalry trophy game, and
absolutely. And that's the thing is when Kennedy Brooks made it, and we knew we were going to win. There was no way. I'm barring a complete meltdown disaster. This game was ours.
Mike Stoops is D coordinator for one play.
Yeah, like unless something happened like earlier in the game, like we knew it, and that's where everybody was celebrating. Everybody was like, "We can't believe we just pulled this off." That was Sooner magic. The thing that always like had me was everybody in the stand was a cheerleader. If we needed like something, there was a guy about 10 rows in front of me. He's like, "We gotta get this. We gotta make sure Texas got it. Boom! Start cheering! Whoa!" Everybody just started doing it. I got my boomerang, but it was my voice almost out. I just yelled "boomer," and I started it around us. The band just kept on playing. And what was funny, we had an older gentleman, what appeared to either be his grandson or his son. It was before the second Kennedy Brooks play. And I went, "Sir, you are the most amazing person out of all of us, because you have been very calm." Alvis, he's just like, "I'm just soaking it in, my son. I'm just soaking it in." But even on the Kennedy Brooks one, he went, he was having fun. You could not contain on that one.
I'm normally calm during games. Like I was calm early. Even like I didn't lose my mind. Like even when we were down, I was just like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of those days." Like like my first reaction when things aren't going well is to go rah, 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 because I know those people, and like it's like, oh god, it's gonna be a long day if that's how you're gonna react to everything.
Okay, can we pull out our watches and see what time it is right now?
It is 10:12 right now.
And can you pull up the screen real quick?
And Texas sucks, right?
I can't, Gavin, because it will get flagged.
Oh, well, okay, never mind.
That content stuff, unless it's original, they will flag it because it's not ours.
Ah, crap. Oh, well.
Yeah, sorry, I got flagged on the stuff when we tried it before. So
it's 11:12 p.m. in the East, and Texas still sucks. So,
oh man, we were cracking those jokes too. And to their credit, to the guys that were around us, like we shook hands with them. They're like, "It was a fun game. We tried. This is what we expect from the Longhorns. We aren't back."
Like it's just this game. I mean,
everything.
Eric was on my stream. I did a celebratory stream last night. Obviously, you were there briefly.
I tried. It was just the signal was crap.
Yeah, it was hard to. Yeah, it was just. I was like, I'll let you go because like you're probably dead with your voice anyway. But that game, like Eric mentions, like he says this game might haunt Sark for a long time because.
This is the game you don't forget if you're Texas. Like they're heartbroken
because this has the makings of a game you point back to, not just because you lost it, but there's a possibility this could have been your best shot. I'm not saying Sark will never beat Riley or never beat OU, but OU's not getting any worse with recruiting. They're getting better. And I'll tell you what, man, like we're about to get some good news on Tuesday with Gabe Dindy, and next Monday, Gentry Williams and LT Overton, maybe. Like there's no date for him yet. He's probably going to be a big final week type of guy. But I'll tell you, and he's for 23 as well, so he's in no hurry, obviously. But it's just recruiting's not getting worse for OU. And there's a lot of players on this defense that are going to get better. Like Stutzman's going to be a star. Ethan Downs is going to be really good when he's an upperclassman. Because people think, oh, Para and Winfrey's going to be gone and Benito's going to go pros. It's like, okay, but at some point.
Well, and Sean, that's something too. You were the one who tweeted it out, I think, where you said like 90 Texas recruits were there and they saw Texas melt down.
Yep.
I mean, they also saw one of the greatest games ever, and even though Texas lost, it's like just because you lost doesn't mean you're like if they had gotten their asses kicked, that would have hurt more. But like losing an epic game doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't potentially choose Texas. But I'll tell you what, man, like our crowd and what they did, like you and all the fans there, like deserve like. So I think Teddy Lehman said it. Y'all deserve a game ball. Like that was you had half the stadium and you channeled like 08 Tech energy. Like I would even just through the because I could tell for the television. I would say I was at that game, the Tech game. I would say like with half the crowd, it was better than 08 Tech. And I'm talking through the television. Like it looked like I was like, man, we were jumping up and down at that one point and everyone was like cheering, but like I don't think I've ever seen an OU crowd that insane in my life.
It's funny you say that because Kayla, the one I went with, she went to that 08 Tech game. That was a sophomore year for her.
So you have someone who has a frame of reference for both.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, that type
and
of
she said this crowd nowhere near the Tech crowd from 08. It was a
nowhere near
crowd, nowhere near this. She said this was insanity from when OU looked like we were coming back with Caleb. And when that spark happened, it was a wildfire. There was no stopping it. Like the crowd was either going to be here for that win or we're going to be heartbroken.
No, I posted that Dennis Dodd tweet in like a Discord that I'm part of, and they're all like mad. They're all mad because a lot of people hate Dennis Dodd. But
really?
Like, but yeah, now he's not saying Caleb is his number 2 to win it. It's just hype. It's like it's a weekly thing. Who were like the best stories of the week or whatever type of thing. And so he put Caleb at number 2. But it's like, well, I'll tell you what about Caleb and the Heisman. It's not going to happen this year. But I'll tell you what, if he gets like good quarterback center, shotgun snap, if he gets that under control, God needs to get that under control. If he gets that fixed. If he puts up like monster plays and like there is no like go-to favorite right now. So I'm going to make the argument. Mm-hmm. Bryce Young, like, on the road, like he had a bad day too. Like he put up some points, but like who is the guy right now?
There's literally no one at this moment.
Like there is no, without question, that's the favorite. And there is no Joe Burrow where it's like, man, We like him now, and he's got that big game against Alabama. If he does what he does against Alabama, boom, he's going to win it. Because you can sometimes if there's a guy everyone likes and they keep doing things, it's easy to see who they're going to go with.
It wasn't just Bama that he had a big game against. He also had a big game against, Texas, which was a key non-conference game as well.
Right, that's what got it started. But the icing, the cherry on top was if he does that against Bama, it's over. Because like someone got mad at me and they're like Jalen was like, I'm like, can Jalen Hurts still actually win this Heisman? Because like he was a September Heisman guy. I said, look, here's the problem for Jalen. He doesn't have that big game that everyone cares about. There are big games that are important that year, but nothing compared to what some other guys are going to. I said, if Joe Burrow does what he's doing, he's win this thing. It's over. And one guy got really mad at me. He's like, you're supposed to be an OU fan. It's like, I am, but I can tell the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, Jalen's not going to win this thing.
I do want to add really fast on it before the Heisman stuff too, because it came to me as well. From the end of the game, by the way, you know what the most enjoyable thing was from the end of the game? Once it was all said and done, not walking the fair, not the drive home. I got a steak on the way home, by the way. Well worth it. I was getting text messages from people, part of the fandom, part of the alumni base, friends from other teams who root for other ones, and even people who hate football that said, my dude, congratulations. That was a hell of a game. Like, that's only happened one time in my life, and it was versus Alabama in that Sugar Bowl back in 2014. I got so many texts where they're like, that was good. Like, they said, this is one of those movies.
And here's hoping Caleb is on a one-hit wonder. I don't think he will be, but I'm serious though for Caleb. It's gonna be tough. The numbers argument's gonna be tough because people will pull away. Here's this and that. If no one starts to separate from this pack, because people were going to, it was Radler, and then it was Bryce Young because he beat a really because Miami's awful. He beat a really crappy Miami team, and then Matt Corral, Ole Miss, or maybe Cradell, the quarterback at Cincinnati, or maybe Tanner Mordecai for SMU. It's like, so there's Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan actually, believe it or not, I think Bijan Robinson still has a really good shot.
Oh, I do too.
I do. I agree with you.
I think if Bijan puts up monster numbers and he gets Texas back to the Big 12 title game, win or lose, I still think he's got a shot.
The only question is that can they go, handle, try and come back against Oklahoma State? Because,
well, we will find out at noon on Fox this Saturday.
And that's something that, I'm not going to give Oklahoma State credit yet because I want to see them face Texas. I think.
You don't think they're the number 3 team in the country like someone else does?
Oh gosh,
who thinks they're number 3?
You know who exactly who I'm talking about.
Mm-mm.
Yes, you do. You know exactly who I'm talking about, fam.
Text it to me, and then I'll figure it out.
Oh my God!
Josh, I just sent it to you.
So. Did you?
You know who I'm talking about?
Oh,
you know who? Like, how did it take you that?
I'm thinking of other sportscasters. I'm thinking of
this. This is worse than the time when we played like that game at the con. And I said, "All right, the coolest X-Men," and your first reaction was Cyclops. I wanted to punch you in the face. And like the whole crowd is looking at you like, what? And I'm like, snick, bub.
Well, I was thinking like the college game day.
I don't want to punch Josh in the face for family that's watching. I don't.
Because he knows he'll never get it.
Maybe a little, but I'm kidding.
But no, I was thinking like other sportscasters, like what's his name, Desmond Howard and stuff. That's who I was thinking of. No, he can shove right off. They're not number 3.
I mean, there are times where Desmond Howard is like not high on drugs when he's on television. Because there's been times. But no, for Oklahoma, like there's a lot of value for Baylor and Oklahoma State, and like Dave Aranda is doing a really good job at Baylor, and he keeps me up at night. But offensively, both of those teams are inept offensively. Like Spencer, who are your playmakers at Oklahoma State? Spencer Sanders, and that's it.
There's nobody.
And I'm being very generous when I say Spencer Sanders is a playmaker. Very, very generous when I say that. As for Baylor, I like how they're coached defensively because Dave Aranda is their head coach, and I expect that trip to Waco to not be easy at all. But I feel a little bit better now considering where where the trajectory is for this OU offense, because we have one now. It looked like, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it looked like a Lincoln Riley offense for the first time.
Yeah, that's
It
what we
looked
all
like
said in the crowd.
it looked like a Lincoln Riley offense for the first time all season, because for Radler, it's just, for all the analytics people and like that were just like trying to, like, and it's like, and they're not wrong to an extent, but the problem was Radler was missing some of the big plays. Like there were times in that West Virginia game where Drake Stoops was down the field wide open, and Radler was not making those throws.
Oh, we were screaming like, he's open, throw it. Like
now Caleb, Caleb's a true freshman, so you got to remember that as well. But there was a play where Mario was wide open on a crossing route, and he was all by himself, and you probably could have seen that, and it's like, oh man, he missed that. But he's a true freshman, and he made up for it with some other big plays.
And
but
that's what we said, was like, we don't blame Caleb for some of the stuff, like the botch snap. He's a freshman. This is truly his like moment to shine. We're gonna give him a little bit benefit of the doubt versus Radler,
because you're coming off the bench and you're making plays and you're the hero right now. But
he looked like, and
that will eventually wear off with a lot of people at some point.
But here's something to add too, something we haven't talked about as well. He looked like Baker Mayfield on the field. He looked like he's done this before. He looked like he was making his reads. He wasn't freaking out when the line clapped. He read and just bolted. He was confident, and his play action was fantastic.
Well, he was cool under pressure too. He was able to move around in the pocket. It's like, all right, I'm going to slide up, and like, he stepped up into the pocket and made those throws when he absolutely had to. And he's like, I'm going to make this throw. Like, you can talk to me about the stat lines with Radler all you want. Like, look at this nice stat line he has. It's a lot of dink and dunk stuff. I'm sorry, guys. At the end of the day, a lot of dink and dunk plays, but like, some guys have it, and whatever happened to Spencer, Spencer had it last year. He had moxie. He had the ability to make those throws, and that's what people try to like. It's like, where did that guy go? And I thought he came back a little bit with K-State. That looks like the guy I remember from last year, but then he disappeared again. Like when shit got tough. Excuse me, but when it got tough. You know, you can't crumble in this game, because you will be eaten alive. And a true freshman went out there and schooled you. And it's his team. And now we're gonna have 2.5 seasons with this guy, and we didn't have to have it didn't cost us a loss yet. We currently have the longest active winning streak in college football.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Caleb. I'm offended, Sean and Gavin, that we haven't mentioned the highlight of this game. The highlight.
The Fox, of course, running on the field.
Fox. It happened right in front of us. So I laughed because no one else saw it.
When did that actually happen?
First quarter.
Like after, I think it was after the first series, or it was when I think it was 14-0. I saw it immediately. No one else saw it at first, and I screamed cat because I couldn't see it that far. And then
wait, no, there was no cat.
There was no cat.
So someone screamed back, "That's not a cat, that's a fox!" And everyone went, "Oh, fox!" And everyone went, "What is going on?" And all of us say he is the MVP of this game because we got that luck from the fox.
And the funny thing is that ABC actually did not show that fox on the air whatsoever.
No, but Fowler Herbstreit mentioned it though.
They didn't mention it.
Disappointed.
They did mention it, but come on, it wasn't like some sort of guy running onto the field or something.
The biggest mistake by whoever was running the audio is that nobody played the song "What Does the Fox Say." Total missed opportunity there. Total missed opportunity.
Sooner, that's what he says.
Yeah.
No, you should have played "What Does the Fox Say."
All right. Look, it's really getting late. I need to be in bed because I got to be at work real early in the morning. So
sure, buddy. Thanks for joining us. We'll wrap up here in a little bit. We're gonna finish up here and go good. So, all right, buddy. I'll let you have a nice night.
All right. See if the storms will let me.
Yeah. Boomer sooner, buddy.
See ya.
Later.
But Sean, I have nothing for that game. Like that was everything you could ask for on an emotional roller coaster. Like as you could tell when I called you, like my voice was shot. Like it was.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
I gave it my all with everybody in that stadium, and we all left it on the field, and boy was it worth it. Oh my goodness.
Now
that steak on the ride home was worth it.
Where'd you stop to eat it? Where'd you?
I went and saw my aunt. She's just in Ardmore, and she recommended Kayla and I go to Prairie Kitchen in Ardmore, and she recommended a prime rib. So good. Well worth it. Well worth it.
That's outstanding. So they moved up to number 4. Not shocking because like Penn State lost and then Bama lost and only dropped to 5.
By the way, that's the crazy thing. We've been so focused on the game. There was other things that happened, but this game was everything kept happening.
Bama losing is not that shocking. It is shocking that of all quarterbacks, it was Calzada of A&M who led the charge. And Feinbaum is going to be a fascinating show tomorrow that I can't wait to listen to. Because I want to see what idiots want Nick Saban fired. Those people, those are some receipts that are going to be pulled. Because message boards want him fired.
But the dynasty ain't over, Paul.
Whatever. I mean, it's like I can't with these people. The most spoiled fan base is Alabama. But TCU this week, we got prime time. Like I really thought that, talking to Eric, it's like the winner of this game was going to be rewarded with the big noon slot because hey, that's what you get. But no, they were given the ABC slot, thankfully.
Thank goodness.
So we're on prime time, and hopefully the next week, there's one of Eric's guys who does predictions for schedules is predicting an 11 a.m. kick for Kansas, and I really hope that happens because I want to do both. I want to cover the game and go watch my wrestling, which is 5 miles down the road from me. But
I'm thinking about going to that away game.
Where, Kansas?
Mm-hmm. Since it's the big, I'm calling it the Big 12 farewell tour, and I'm worth it to go to one game. Tickets are like $30.
Oh, well, like, because Kansas is the new Baylor, basically, because Baylor used to be that game people would go to that was like you could walk up and buy a ticket.
Yep. It's just a 5-hour drive.
Baylor, it was like Baylor, Vanderbilt. There's always that one school where you can just walk up and buy a ticket for some conferences for big teams. But this week's TCU, Gary Patterson.
Yeah, let's talk about TCU. I'm sorry. This game was so exciting.
No. I mean, we don't talk a lot about TCU. Like this is what I worry about because some people on Twitter talking about, like, man, we don't have a big challenge till this or this. Stop. No.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Underestimate Gary Patterson.
We're going against Gary Patterson, and I know the game's at home, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen this week. There's going to be a lot of talk about the quarterback because Riley at the presser did not declare that he was going to be the starter next week. Caleb Williams. Of course, he's not going to, obviously.
Kudos on Riley for that because I agree with you, Sean, where you don't want to throw Rattler on.
You don't just
he's one of ours.
No, well, apparently, like, some people don't like when I say that. It's like,
I mean, now don't get me wrong. When the fumble happened and we saw how bad it was, even I said, I'm done. It's time for Caleb. We have to try something.
No, like there's a difference between tough love and making the right decision for the team, and then like just once the decision is made to continue to crap on him afterwards. Like it's like, okay, it's over. He's not playing. We can. It's done. Like you don't.
Yeah.
Like we won the football game. The need to keep crapping on him. It's over. Like the move has been made. And
right, and that's me.
And one of the problems is that Riley is not going to come. He's Tuesday. I guarantee you, he's not going to come out and say he's the starter. If he does, I'll be shocked. He'll probably run out, and someone's going to ask him multiple questions about, like, because here's the problem: they still kind of need Spencer Rattler in the sense that they don't have anyone behind. Like Caleb was behind him. Was like, if anything happened to Spencer, Caleb will come in and look what we saw. But after that, they don't like Micah Bowens for this Penn State transfer who is on a milk carton. Apparently, I don't know. We've never heard anything from him. We have some walk-ons
like Woody Washington. They exist, but who knows?
Well, no. Woody Washington's hurt. There's a difference, but it's just like if Caleb gets hurt, Rattler's got to still be ready to go. Like. like Riley has to still like sit him down. Like, look, I have to do what's best for the team. Whatever decision you're going to make, whether it's like you're going to enter the draft or transfer, I'll support. But I need you to be a team player for the rest of the year, and I will do everything in my power to help you find a landing spot, whether it's like go pro or find like that. That's what he has to do right now.
Absolutely,
because those are his options. Like Rattler could declare for the draft. It would be a silly decision at this point, but I think
and that,
for Spencer Rattler right now, he has got to play ball because. Think about like when you went early on, Gavin was bringing up the conversation. Like he wasn't there for the team. This, that. You got to find a way to squash because everyone's going to like make assumptions based on the outside, what it appears to be.
It was. I can tell you right now, it was already happening in the stadium.
Oh, exactly. That's my point.
Everyone pointed out, say, "Look, Rattler was walking away." Oh,
and you've got to, and you've got to do everything in your power if you're Lincoln Riley to like squash that crap. Like they're
and that's something Sean he can be
when he talks to the press on Tuesday, there needs to be an answer for why he left. There has to be something, because if there's not, if he's vague and he just goes, well, keep that private, it's just going to make it worse.
Yeah, well, and that's something you can be proud of me, Sean. In the stadium when people were starting to heckle Rattler, I'm like, guys, it's still a guy out there. Like if this was 18-year-old me who didn't know any better, I probably would have been part of that crowd. Now, more experienced, many games later, no, guys, he's one of us. He's done so much for the program. Yeah, maybe he has peaked. Maybe he's flat. Who knows? Maybe he's having the sophomore slump. He's still one of us, guys. Unless, like, throw rumors aside, throw everything. You still gotta support him with it, even if it's the tough love, like you mentioned, benching him for the betterment of the team.
It's like, but it's like I mentioned. It's like I don't get the like. I'm not obsessed with the fact that he didn't pose with the team for the photo for whatever reason that he didn't. We effing won the game. All is right in the world. We won the game. If we had listen, if he was the starter for the whole game and we lost, and then he just left on his own or whatever, is like that's a whole different like ball of wax, and it's even worse. But again, like he was. It's like he was out there on the field hugging and talking to people and congratulating guys. Like, I don't know how hunky-dory you want him to be. Like if we're keeping points on how he has to shake, how excited he is by shaking hands or whatever it is. Like, obviously Trevor Knight is like the ultimate good sport about everything. He was the ultimate team player. Like he was very supportive of Baker Mayfield. And when he went off to A&M and did his thing there. And that's probably what's going to happen with Rattler. But if you're Lincoln Riley on Tuesday, you like whoever opens the door for you to answer that, or if someone asks, someone's going to. Whether
it's happening.
He can't give a vague answer, because if he does, it's just going to keep this crap going on. And if you want to help him either go pro or find a new landing spot, you got to put those fires out right now, because someone will take him regardless.
Yeah.
There's gonna be people saying stuff anyway, but you don't want to add fuel to it by being vague. Riley can't be the ho hum. It's a private conversation with me. No, you got to say something.
You do.
You got to say something. And I'm sure he'll say great things about him, but it's just, if you want this to go smoothly, and if you want to have a solid backup, because in a pinch, you never know if like Caleb has to sit out for a few plays for whatever reason, because who are you going to send out there at this point if Caleb has to miss a quarter because he's dinged up, or he gets the wind, his ribs are bruised because he got the wind knocked out of him or something. Like, who's going to be your quarterback? You don't know right now.
Yeah,
like it has to be Spencer right now until you get to the end of the season. And you got to go get another quarterback from the portal or somebody just to fill the spot until Malachi gets here.
Yeah, I think at this point with it, I think that's why Riley was really emotional in the game, because I think he sees the writing on the wall and the players want that. I think the team wants Caleb to be the quarterback. It flowed smoother. It seems like he clicked better. I think that's just what they want.
Well, and plus, like, Lincoln Riley has relationship with all of his guys.
Yeah.
think about this. Of course he's going to be a little emotional. He had to bench him, and I know it hurt him to the bone to have to do that. Think about this. Lincoln Riley nearly broke down at a press conference because he had to not start Baker for one series because of the crotch grab against West Virginia. He almost cried over that.
Yeah, he almost did.
And it was, and in hindsight, it's like Kyler Murray makes a big 60-plus yard run, then they next play hand it to Rodney, and then like Baker's in on the next offensive possession. And it was like, and he was mocked for it, like Feinbaum mocked for that. He got made fun for it, but like, no, he gives a shit. He cares. So Riley's, he cried at the Big 12 champion after the Big 12 championship one time. He's an emotional guy. He's not afraid to show his emotions. Like, and people mock him for it. I think it's like it's a thing our society does. Our tough guy male society, where it's like men are not allowed to cry for, he's like, oh, he's too much of this, too much of that. It's like whatever. It's like I cry after. Listen, I'm a softie. You give me a good sappy movie or whatever, I'll tear up. I'm easy. I'm so easy when it comes to that.
I mean,
she got her dream guy, and 16 Candles are pretty big, whatever. It's so beautiful. I'm a comedic character in that guy, but
I mean, I had it where I'll tattle on myself with it. It was when stuff in February was going pretty rough with COVID stuff, just because of like the high demand. I was pretty stressed out. It was like Pokemon, the first movie came on, and I was like, oh God. And at the end, it got me. And
he wasn't going to die. It was all right.
It was the end. It was Pikachu crying, and a buddy of mine, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, no!
He was, please. You think they were going to kill that cash cow? Never.
They would have killed him and moved on to something
Ash
else.
is dead. No, he's just turned to stone. He'll be fine. They'll use the magic spell and revive him. Everything's gonna be all right. But no, like, getting back to the whole, it's just like, and to turn it back to Caleb is like, why did the team get behind him so much? It's like, why? Oh, the team is like, you have to go back to. Well, say what?
I would say rumors. I would say that's going to definitely feel like, why did Caleb get behind him?
No, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Why? Like, go back to when he was being recruited, or when he was going, like, he hadn't verbally committed yet publicly, but it was like when we lost Brock Vandegrift, because Brock Vandegrift was supposed to be our QB for that class, for that 21 class. Brock Vandegrift out of Georgia. Then he decommitted because he wanted to stay closer to home. Now he's at Georgia. Yeah. Caleb wanted to be at OU. He wanted to be there, and Riley had, like, he had he had a backup plan, and boy, what a backup plan it was. So Caleb, like, when COVID was going down and nobody could recruit, like, all the restrictions, like, Caleb Williams did everything in his effing power to put together that 21 class. He missed out on a bunch of guys. Like, we wish we could have gotten Bryce Foster. We wish we could have gotten Kamara Wheaton, but he put together the summit on, like, he gathered a bunch of guys together. He got the guys like Tristan Lee, who turned to be a liar, and like, screw him. But like, he got guys to come to campus on their own dime. They couldn't do official visits. He has the polarizing personality to get people to rally around him. And I think for the first time on the football field, we saw that. Yeah. And it's like, you go find some of the post game, like, on the field. He's like, I told you guys we were going to do it. Is like, this is just the beginning for this guy. He's got the Baker Mayfield polarizing rally around me. We're going to win this. We're going to do this. And Kyler was just such a freak. I don't think Kyler had that, all due respect, but he was such a freak. It was just, he could just make plays.
Baker had the attitude that everybody literally would get run over to make things happen for him. Kyler let his athleticism speak for himself for it. He was the quiet leader at that point, but he let himself.
But people respected Kyler. They didn't hate him or anything. He was just different. He was just different in the way he did things. But Caleb's got a little bit, like, he's obviously not like the cocky, trash talker like Baker. At least I don't think he is. We don't see it as much, but Caleb has that polarizing, like, rally around me. He's a leader.
Yeah.
And I think this is just the beginning, because we get him for the rest of the year, we get him next year, and then we get him the year after that. So this is our quarterback for the next couple years, and that offensive line gets better. And I want you to we're getting guys like Raleek Brown next year. So when Kennedy Brooks is Kenny Brooks gonna be gone. Oh, wait till he gets guys like Raleek Brown, and imagine once he gets more reps, gets more comfortable, we're gonna see Mario Williams finally make some plays, because he was wide open. You're gonna see Mario Williams make plays, Marvin Mims making plays now. You're going to see this offense finally, all these guys that what's wrong with the offensive players? You're going to see guys make plays now.
Oh, absolutely.
It is going to be a beautiful thing to watch. And this team can roll the rest of their schedule if they get guys back healthy. They're going to get Theo Weiss back at some point too.
And that's something I brought up with the fans and stuff around me too, was they were asking why Riley was doing certain things with certain ones. I'm like, guys, this is really the first game too that Kennedy Brooks, when you mentioned running backs, he ran him a lot north and south. He didn't run him the east and west kind of short routes. He let Kennedy Brooks be the power runner that Kennedy Brooks is, and boy did he do it. I'm like, he doesn't have this the speed part, what y'all are wanting, like the Adrian Petersons or the Reggie Bushes of the world. But boy, he's gonna ram right through you, and if your defense is not ready for it, he punishes you.
Well, the offensive line run blocking, I think, is playing very well. They played great in that game. I think one thing we did learn is that Tyrese Robinson's a little bit better than we give him credit for. And when he was out for a few plays, it was noticeable, because they tried to put Wanye in there at right tackle for a little bit because they were desperate. Yeah. They had to put somebody out there, and it was just when Tyrese thankfully came back in, it's different. When it comes when it comes to run blocking, that O-line is doing fairly well. Pass blocking still little to be desired. There's still this is not a great offensive line by any means. But now that they feel like they could run the ball, because now you have to respect the running game of the quarterback, and it just opens the door for things to really get fun. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're going to drop 55 on TCU this week. It would be great if we did. I'm more concerned about the defense, picking up the pieces, because they had a rough day as well. They got to figure out.
Oh yeah,
Jaden Davis. They got to figure out. At one point, does Stutzman become a starter? Does he take someone's job potentially? I'm not saying he's going to, but there's been a lot of up and down play at linebacker. Stutzman is still a freshman, still learning, but at some point, who are you going to put out there? We're still waiting on Redmond. We're still waiting on Jalen Redmond to come back. Again, I'm not in a hurry to get him back, to get him healthy. If he can be back either at Kansas or after Kansas, great, because you want him for that November run. That November run's gonna that November run is going to define the season, because that's a tough stretch. Because I don't care what the record is. Matt Campbell and Iowa State coming to Norman is going to be a tough out. I don't care.
Oh, absolutely.
That is going to be a tough. I don't care. They have 2 losses. Don't give a shit. That's going to be a tough football game.
Well, and that's something we told the Texas buddies around us, where we're like, guys, you only have 1 loss in the conference. It ain't really over for you guys. We may see y'all again here in a couple of months. There was something you reminded me too of Kennedy Brooks. The one thing that was amazing to me in the actual watching it from the stands, that last run is magical. I've watched that so many times of just replaying it from my video and then looking at foul. But that other one where he's running and he pushes our own guy, I'm like, that was a man push. He knew what he wanted. And
that last run was stupid, because he ran past 3 or 4. Now, he had some blocks, but he was running past 3 or 4 guys. When you first watch it, it looks like 3 or 4 guys should have gotten him. At least one of them should have pushed him out of bounds or gotten to him.
Yeah.
But they couldn't. It was just, I'm not saying it was like the CD Lamb play from a few years ago, but it had that energy to it in a sense. Yeah. He didn't make guys miss. He was just running a straight line, following blocks like any good running back should. But it was just, I was counting, there's a guy there, and they're just trying to run to keep pace, but they can't stop and grab him. They would have to leave. It was just, oh my God, that just happened.
Yeah.
That just happened.
That's why I like the one before that, where he grabbed the ball and he ran it, and right as the end he pushed. I think it was Drake Stoops. He pushed over to get right in because he was going to score. Nothing was going to stop it. Which is funny because you mentioned in your preview video about Justice League and Infinite on Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Two Earths.
I'm gonna bring mine in where I was like, Kennedy Brooks in this OU offense is like the juggernaut. They start off really slow, but the moment they get going, there's nothing stopping them. And Kennedy Brooks is the exact
I had completely forgotten. Like when I made that video, it was like the third or fourth time I made that video because I have a barking dog that barks at everything that moves outside. I want to murder it and give it to a Korean restaurant. I hate that dog with a passion. I hope it dies soon. And I just got to the point where it was like, what have I said before? It's like who's going to stare into the abyss and who's going to blink? Can you be Batman? Or can you be Batman? Can you look into the abyss and not blink? And boy, that was the abyss for both teams. And
they want to their credit, they played 4 quarters.
They both look into the abyss, but Texas blinked. They blinked.
They did. They did. Not to interrupt you on that one, like they did. But I give both of them credit. Like Riley did not take his foot off the pedal. Both teams wanted. They both wanted this win. You could tell they both wanted it, but you could tell with the Texas mannerisms at the end, they knew it was coming. There was nothing they could do to stop it, and they were too tired to do anything. And kudos to our strength and conditioning on that because our guys looked fresh. They looked ready to go. This game, so many memories is going to be. So, we've been at this one for 2 hours, Sean. I think we're going to wrap up on this one. we didn't talk about the other games. We didn't talk about TCU coming up. There's just so much, but gosh, this is a memorable game.
Well, I mean, it's just like the last concern I have is like, I'm talking the emotional high of coming down from this. So you're going to come home. You're going to feel, we're at home. TCU is okay, I guess, but they got a star running back too that you're going to have to contain. And so you got to get ready for him. So they went toe-to-toe with Texas and almost won. Just, despite the final score last year, they weren't the easiest out. Grant, they had, it was a passing game. They had to pass the ball, but again, like I could talk ad nauseum for what they need to do, but like again, we have like 5 or 6 days to, mull on that. But like as far as the 24-hour rule, I think you can make it a 48-hour rule. But like they get back to work tomorrow, and hopefully you stay safe and everyone else is staying safe. I don't know how bad things are going, but you're still up and running, so I guess everything's good so far for you.
Everything went south of us. Hell's Highway started to really ramp up around Chickasha, but it went more like Chickasha once it hit.
It sounds like the nasty stuff is already way past.
Oh yeah, we're not under anything anymore. Like the closest you probably heard was when I had to delay it for about 30 minutes.
Man, that Service Storms goes all the way down like Texas, almost near to the border.
Mexico. it made a squall line. Yeah, it made a nice.
That's a nasty group. That's a nasty little group there.
Yeah, I'm fine here. Like I said, what most I had was that minor thing in the beginning, but outside that, all the tornadoes were really like Noble and Norman area at this point. So. Oh,
Norman area. No big deal there, right?
Oh, not at all.
Nothing important in Norman.
Exactly. Save the trophies, guys. Save the trophies. Well, Sean, thank you for joining me for this wonderful recap. Like, gosh, I'm glad we went 2 hours on this one because this was a fun game. This was a fun game. Are you live streaming Tuesday?
I plan to. There's a lot to talk about Tuesday. Riley's press conference. We got a commitment from Gabe Dindy and Boomer Sooner, and he's down to you and A&M, but I think we all know where he's going. And then I'll do the live stream like usual. So Tuesday's gonna be busy. And the Bills are killing the Chiefs right now. My God.
Like, how bad are they? Because
31-13 third quarter. Ooh. Chiefs are average this year. Chiefs are very average.
That sucks. Sucks for Patrick Mahomes. So,
oh God, Joe Burrow's in the hospital with a throat injury. Jeez.
That's something, and we can talk about on your Tuesday one everyone in the stadium was wondering what was the ball infraction that they kept talking about, the snap infraction for Texas when they called it twice. There was 2 times Texas was flagged and it wasn't false starts. We're like, we thought it was something else.
Well, no, the center probably like moved the ball before he's
That's-
like that's what
I
is.
told people around me, but I'm like, I have no idea. Even that's a little new for me, guys. So I may hop on your live stream Tuesday, barring anything I have to catch up on or anything like that. Probably just chit chat and stuff. Not to mention, we're probably all still swapping OU Texas stories at this point. But hey, you're right, Sean. The golden hat remains in Norman for another year.
I got a new shiny hat. My avatar is updated, and I even got people are requesting, can you put the golden hat on my avatar? I need to charge people for this thing. This is
Exactly. I mean, I got a new hat myself. You get a souvenir from that game. You absolutely do. So, Sean, I want to thank you for joining. Gavin, I know had to get off early. Gavin, I want to thank you for joining as well. Same thing, guys, for all y'all viewers that came in and watched. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Boomer sooner. And we'll do the next one here next week. As we recap TCU, we're also on this OU Texas high, but as Sean pointed out, we got to turn our attention to TCU. So everyone, if you haven't visited Sean's YouTube as well, check it out. Onikuno, fantastic content on there. As something pretty much roughly every day of the week.
I started my YouTube channel last night.
Man, fantastic.
I have 2 subscribers. I'm no one important.
You're no one important yet. Can you go participate in this Twitch live stream? So, but thanks for joining on. I always enjoy having you on. So, you have a good one, Sean. I'm going to let you go because it's midnight in Orlando, isn't it?
It's getting close.
Yeah, talk about this game. So again, thanks for joining. Again, thanks everybody for joining. We'll see y'all next week. Boomer sooner.